Welcome back. Now, we're going to have a look at the supervisor's dashboard, but I'd like you to try and remember, if possible, the jobs per day 3.93, and that was for week 20, week 20 in 2011. So it's going to be interesting just to have a look at if there's been any improvements in performance. So just to go to here, and immediately at the bottom here you can see it's nearly 5. So there's been a significant improvement from week 20 to week 10 2012. We'll come on to that in a minute. Okay, so what are we looking at here? They've got 3 charts for measuring performance. This first chart here is generally looking at all supervisors and all supervisors that are only day to day. So here we can see that 79% of the work is completed and 7% are materials required. There is a report that you can run, and if you click on there it will show you all those jobs that wanted materials, and there's another action here that you can press, and that will show you all supervisor action. And by supervisor action we mean asbestos, scaffold, anything that requires a supervisor intervention. We can look at that by a single supervisor, and this supervisor's got 82% completed, and this supervisor is looking at 86%. You can also look at the trades, and that is just looking at every joiner job. So the only chart for anything that's clicked here that's relevant is just this SP01. The others are not relevant to these outcomes. So if I was to look at electrical, then 89% of their work has been completed. They've got an 8% no access rate, but it's interesting to see that only 0.2% is on hold due to materials, and that's because in this particular organisation they've now made available a really good Impress van stock, and they're going to move that towards other trades now. If you was to look at joiners, for instance, where are we? Down there. Joiners have got 7% material put on delay for materials, and obviously the managers need to look at that. Interestingly, they've got a higher no access rate. Now anything on this side, on the yellow side, and I haven't mentioned this before, but you'll see that certain results are always highlighted in yellow, and they're the results that I think people should be focusing on. On this side, what happens in this other workbook that's created, you've got the operative's name, and then alongside the operative name you've got the supervisor that looks after that operative and the planner that looks after that operative. Also against the operative name is the name of their core trade. So we're now looking at operatives whose core trade is electrical. So that might change very, very slightly. Let's have a look. And it's roughly about the same, very minute increases on these two areas here. But it will make sense when I eventually show you the other workbook, which is in a second set of videos. Remember, this is pointing towards that main data. But you can see that since January there has been an improvement, and we know that this has been the case since week 20. This chart here, because we've only selected 2012, is only looking at 2012. So that's the completed jobs, but those, as I've pointed out here, completed means whether they were a follow-on or a first-time job. This chart, however, looks at any job that was only a first-time job. So we're looking at the electrical trade, and that's as chosen over here, the electrical trade, and they have got 85% of their right first time, and this is quite a more significant figure to be looking at. Now, the electrical trade, as monitored by the supervisors in their groups, have a target of 85% for right first time, and in this instance they've achieved 85.48%. What's important to know is that these targets are configurable, so it's up to managers to sit down with operatives and set targets that through training that we've given, all operatives know that targets will eventually have to increase, because there has to be a strategy for continuous improvement. But it is important that you all agree those targets and you then move on from that point, and that's how you promote better performance. So their target's 85% and they've achieved just over 85%. If we was to click on joinery, their target was 80% and they've achieved 70%. And you'll see that that's probably because their van stocks have not yet been properly managed, and that is to come. There are other factors, the types of vans, and you can't go into an organisation overnight and change the vans and etc. So this has to be recognised. You have to have evidence of what's happening. You can prove that it is beneficial to improve van stock, and it's beneficial to change the types of vans and vehicles that specific trades use to carry out their work. But there is gentle improvement. And this is the chart that we've already seen, that in the case of joinery, they have a target of 5 jobs per day to complete. This includes the follow-on jobs, and again this is configurable, so you can say that you can set that to 6, you can set it to 4, but their target currently, and this is the cumulative target, the average for that group, they've achieved 4.68, which is 93% of this target here. If I was to put that to another trade, say plumbing, again they've slightly exceeded their right first time. Their target though is 7. They've achieved 5.51, and that represents 78% of their target. So there's quite a bit of work to do there. Okay, thank you very much. The next video will be the